Welcome to a Community Partners interview where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Jocelyn Dore, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Melissa McDonald, who is the founder and COO of Guiding Hands Coordinated Services. At Guiding Hands, they believe that life should be an adventure, and each person should have the right to choose what their adventure looks like. Thank you for joining us today, Melissa.
Thank you for having me, Jocelyn.
Tell us a bit more about you and what inspired you to establish Guiding Hands Coordinated Services and to work with individuals with disabilities.
That's a big story, actually. So I have a sister with a developmental disability. She's 5 years older than me, so I have grown up with her my entire life. But the disability in our family is genetic. So I also have an uncle and two aunts who also have a similar disability. And just watching through life how they were always treated differently and they didn't have the same access to things was heartbreaking for me. So when I hit about 15, I started to do some advocacy for my sister in school and things like that. And at 17, I started my first job with community living in Hamilton. And I just became really passionate about disability services. So from the time I was a teenager, it was something I knew I wanted to do. And then as life went on and I realized the politics behind the culture in social services, I realized that my hands were really tied to do a lot of the things that I thought would really help people. So about 10 years ago was when we decided to, we being my husband and myself, who he supported me on this amazing little adventure we've been on. We remortgaged our house and decided to launch Guiding Hands so that we could start to meet the needs of not just my sister, but a lot of her friends that she was bringing to me at the time who didn't have the supports they were looking for and weren't able to live the life they wanted to live.
Can you tell me a little bit about the programs and services that your organization offers?
So we're an organization that adjusts and adapts based on need. So a few times a year, we sit down with the individuals that we support and we ask them what it is they're needing in their life right now. So our programs are always adjusting and adapting, but we do have some very static ones that happen all the time. So one of them is a sign-up based day program. So our day program is different than most others in that we put out a calendar every month. And people actually choose what they want to participate in. They sign up for it. They come on the days that they want to be here. Sometimes they might only stay for one of the two activities or one of the two workshops that's happening that day. And it's completely based on what their needs are. And so they'll say to us, you know, I really want a workshop on how to make cake pops, or I would love a workshop on how to find a good job or how to perform well at an interview. So we're constantly adjusting and adapting what we're running and researching to learn more about what can we offer people. Outside of that, we also offer really fun community-based trips, which are also client geared. So our individuals will make a list at the start of the fiscal year showing us what they want to do. And it can be absolutely anything from hiking and horseback riding to yesterday we had somebody at Paint Riot, just creating a huge paint artwork through splatter paint and things like that. And they had a blast. We do medieval times. And outside of that, we also have camps. We have a justice support program. We have an outreach program for people that struggle with mental health and addictions issues or are in conflict with the law. There's so much that we're currently doing in the community.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds like you have a lot of amazing programs. There's so many to choose from. There'd be something for everybody.
Well, that was our goal, was to make sure that any need that we discovered that wasn't being met, that we found a way to meet it. So a few years ago, we started a transit training program so that people could learn how to take the bus and be more independent. Just those little things, because I found a lot of times when my sister was going to programs, she was saying, okay, well, they have a great cooking class, but I already know how to make that. What I don't know is how to safely travel on a bus without being, taken advantage of. Or what I don't know is how do I put a resume together? So there were pieces that were being missed, and she wasn't being given the opportunity to do them. And I wanted to make sure that that didn't continue happening.
Are there any restrictions to the services at Guiding Hands, like such as age or caregivers or family members only, things like that?
So we do utilize passport funding to do most of what we do. So passport funding is individualized funding that comes to individuals with developmental disabilities through Developmental Services Ontario. So typically our individuals have to be 18 or over, because that's the age at which they would qualify for passport funding. But we also assist with the application process for that. So that's a free service that we provide. And we have actually spent sometimes years working with people to help them access that funding. And we advocate on their behalf. So that is the biggest limitation, is that we're limited by the funding that they can access. Some people do pay out of pocket when they come here. And we do our best to make sure that we find as many free things for them to do so that they're not having to pay much. And then outside of that, we do have like Christmas parties and things like that that family members come to, or they can bring a friend to. But typically you do have to register to be part of our program, which means you call our office and ask for a registration. We do a full intake. You have to sign a code of conduct because we expect everybody to be respected and feel safe in our space. And those are the basics behind what we expect before you can start participating in Guiding Hands.
What does a common journey through your organization look like?
Oh, gosh. I don't know that there is one common journey because everybody is so unique and their goals are so individual to them. But some of the mandatory pieces, some of the pieces that we say absolutely have to happen, we do have a mandatory participation expectation. So in some way, shape, or form, we expect to see your face 3 hours a month. And that's just to make sure that you are okay and that everything is going well in your world. But everybody's goals are unique. So we do require goal setting every year. We sit down with people and we say, what do you want to work on this year? What are you looking at? What's your future going to look like? And what do you hope to attain? And then we work with them on a budget. If they have funding, we help them go through the full annual year of this is how much funding you have for the year. This is how much these things cost. If you want a gym membership, that's what that's going to look like. If you want a bus pass, that's how much that's going to cost. And we work all of those pieces in so that they know exactly where their money is going, because we think that's super important. And then we get to do life with them. We get to journey with them and watch them grow and experience new things. Some of our individuals have moved on to employment. I have somebody who's just sent me an email verifying that he is registered for post-secondary education. There's really no limit to the things that people can move towards and accomplish if they choose to. And we're super excited to see people move towards their goals.
Without using any names, can you share a success story with me? What supports were put in place when someone asked for help?
Oh, gosh, there's so many stories we have. So I'm going to speak specifically about a couple that we work with. They have been with me now. So they've been with us technically for about 9 years. But at least, well, from the initial start until 2021 during COVID, they had no funding. And so we worked with them through that process. I assisted with the application process. We got them into as many free programs as we could and continued to build that trust. And I think that's key because like the first day that we were picking them up to take them to a cooking class with us, the wife actually called me and she was absolutely adamant. We were not safe people. She didn't like me, didn't want anything to do with me. And that was the end of it. And I said, okay, well, we'll try again another day. That's okay. And so she hung up the phone. And a few days later, I called her and I said, I'm really proud of you for wanting to make sure that I'm a safe person before you get to know me and spend more time with me. So let's figure out a safe space where we can do that. And so they had me come to them and visit with them at their apartment building with other people around that they knew until they felt safe. And then they realized that they knew some of the people that actually participate in our program, just because they had been talking to their friends, and those people had said, I go to that cooking class too. So they were feeling a little more safe. So we spent a lot of time building that trust. Fast forward to about 8 years later, when I had the privilege to accompany them to a marriage conference because they wanted to work on the skills within their marriage and build a stronger bond and better communication, which has been incredible. The same year, we actually assisted the husband to speak up about his need to be paid for some of the work he had been doing at his church. He had been volunteering, but he had been volunteering an excessive number of hours. And so we didn't advocate for him. We taught him how to self-advocate. And he contacted the church and had some conversations with the leadership board there. And they put him on payroll. And so he started making an income, which was amazing. And just watching them grow and thrive, and they've become leaders in their community. They now go out and tell other people about the things that they could be doing and the difference that they could be making if they chose to. So we're really excited about those changes.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Are there any events coming up for Guiding Hands?
Oh, there's always lots of events and lots of fun things. But I think the biggest thing right now is we actually have our Bowl-a-thon fundraiser coming up on June 20th. So it's in partnership with Echo Bowl. And you can register online through our website. It's $50 to become a bowler. All of the funds raised from our bowl-a-thon are actually going to be put towards our Muskoka camp so that we can bring that cost down as low as possible for people. Just the bill alone for the accommodations and the food when we go up there is over $10,000. But it's such a life-changing opportunity for people. So when individuals are coming here to programs, to classes, we spend like maybe 2 hours with them here or an hour and a half there, right? But when we go up to Muskoka, we get 5 days of uninterrupted time. And that gives us a real opportunity to break down the negative labels that have been built in their life and the negative messages they've received. And this year, our entire focus is actually on conquering those barriers. It's called No Limits. And so we have an entire workshop built around just undoing the messages that they've heard their whole life about, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. You have a disability. Oh, you're not capable of that. We want to take those and tear them apart and throw them away. And we do some really experiential things while we're up there where they have an opportunity to write down all of the negative things that have been said to them and put it in the fire and just start fresh, right? And so that camp week is so important. And if we can help build that for the people that aren't yet funded, that would be amazing. We would love to see that opportunity.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Having a camp. I go to a camp in Muskokas for the blind, and it's just an awesome experience.
And that's so many people, when we think back to when we were kids, if you had the privilege of going to camp, it really is a memory that sticks with you forever.
Oh, it is.
If we can give that opportunity to more people that haven't had the chance to experience that, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Even as an adult, it's still amazing to go to camp.
Absolutely. I have been every year since we've started it, because from my perspective, even though I am the owner and the COO, I don't think anybody should ever work in this field in a position of management and not do the frontline work, not be connected to the individuals we're supporting. So I go to camp and I do some of the trips and I run some of the workshops because I think they need to know me and they need to know my heart, but I also need to know them. But camp has been incredible. I'm watching them grow there. I get so excited every year at the change I see in people.
What is one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be? And how do you think it could be stopped?
Oh, there's a few things that I get on my soapbox about. I get really upset when people don't listen to the needs. When they don't listen, when an individual is coming to you saying, I need this too many people in positions of power assume they know better. They make the assumption that they know what's right for the person. They know what they need. So they're just going to change how the programs run or change how the funding works, or they're just going to wipe out that program because it doesn't matter. And those decisions that are made by government and people in positions of power, it's really infuriating. And it tears apart pieces that people have counted on for years. And it really is frustrating for me. My sister had a program she used to participate in, and they just decided, it wasn't needed anymore. People needed to only do community-based things and shouldn't be doing things in groups with other people with disabilities. But that was where she felt safe and saw her friends. And when they closed the program, they didn't plan ways for those people to stay connected with one another. And so they all lost touch and became socially isolated. And I saw my sister go through a journey of depression, and self-harm that was just gutting for me. And it was really heartbreaking. And I just think people need to stop making those decisions for others. They need to actually take polls and ask people, what do you want? What do you need? Do you like this program? Is it working for you? Is it not? But the other piece is the wait list for funding. It's ridiculous. The length of time it takes to get people funded, and the fact that there's no pre-existing database. So they're recreating an entire database because the province wasn't interconnected before. So we're finding people who may have been in special ed their entire life, who were part of a community living in another town. But because it was more than 15 years ago, there's no file. Nothing exists on them. And so we have to start the application process all over again. And it takes them anywhere from 1 to 4 years to get funded. And that shouldn't happen. And sometimes in that time frame, those people are passing away because they haven't had the right supports and services. They haven't had their needs met, or they're vulnerable and they've been taken advantage of. I see so much of that. I find people living homeless on the streets who are eligible for funding, who should never have been in that situation. And it guts me every time I see it.
If someone wanted to become a member or a volunteer with Guiding Hands, what is the process for joining as a member, and what is the process for joining as a volunteer?
So for joining as a member, you need to reach out to our office, and we will book an intake meeting, which is mostly an information gathering meeting where we get together and we have conversations about what your needs are, whether or not you meet the developmental disability criteria, right? So through DSO, and whether we can help you with an application or if you already have funding. And it's usually about an hour and a half process of intake and interview. And then we're able to get you started fairly quickly. For volunteering, it's a little more complex. So you can either go through our website and fill out our I wish to become a volunteer page, or you can email us at guidinghandsbrantford@gmail.com or call the office. But we do have registration forms that would need to be done for that. We would require a police check with vulnerable sector done within the last 2 months. You would have to come in and do some shadowing with us to make sure that you're going to be the right fit for our programs and our setting, and to make sure that you connect well with the individuals that are here, because our individuals are very much like our family. And we've created a support network here that is like no other. And we want to make sure that we keep that as positive and encouraging as it can be.
Yes, those are very important. Honestly, if I lived in Brantford, I would want to become a volunteer. Your agency sounds amazing.
Well, I appreciate that, Jocelyn, and I'm sure we'd be thrilled to have you, because it sounds like you have a wealth of your own experience and knowledge that you could bring and really encourage others with.
What is the one thing that everyone needs to know about Guiding Hands coordinated services?
Oh, I think that we know we're not like a lot of other organizations. We are very, very client-led, and we are not afraid to get to know the individuals we work with well enough that they know they can count on us. They know we're going to be there when they need us, right? It's not unusual for me to get a message from one of my staff team because they found out that one of our individuals just suffered a loss in their family or something on a weekend when I'm not normally working, and for me to then go and check on that family. and pop in to see that individual. I spent a Thanksgiving in a McDonald's with somebody who had lost his mom, because they need to know that it's not just lip service. We really do care. We really do want to make sure that they're okay and that their life is good. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're here because we care, that we have a mission and a purpose. And I'm a Christian, and I believe that God put me here for a purpose, and I've stepped into it, and I'm doing everything I can to help the people that I support.
If listeners are looking for more information, how can they reach out to you?
So we have a website. They can go to www.guiding-hands.ca, or they can email guidinghandsbrantford@gmail.com. Or they can call our office. Our office is located at 72 Brant Ave. We have the entire basement of a medical building. And our phone number is 519-802-6462.
Thank you. I really appreciate you joining us today, and I really enjoyed learning about Guiding Hands. It sounds like an amazing organization. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for having me. I really appreciated being part of this, and I'm so impressed with what Voices for Ability is doing in the disabilities community. And I'm thrilled to see that you folks are out there and doing everything you can to ensure that people have a voice. So thank you for what you do.
This has been a Community Partners interview on Voices for Ability Radio. All abilities, all the time.